Welcome back. Now we've just created this curve called slide displacement curve, and we're going to be using that to displace the slide on the pistol. Now we're going to go ahead and go into our base weapon BP blueprint, and we're going to find that slide displacement curve. Here's the slide displacement curve. We're going to go ahead and set this to slide displacement curve. That way it's set on the blueprint, so we can go ahead and save that and close base weapon BP. Now we have this curve, and we're going to use it to drive our float value that we created in weapon.h called slide displacement. And we're going to use this in conjunction with a timer handle. So let's make an F timer handle, and let's call this slide timer. And I'm going to give this a comment and say timer handle for updating slide displacement. Now we're also going to need a float value for the amount of time. We can call this float slide displacement time. We'll give this a comment as well and say time for displacing the slide during pistol fire. Now slide displacement time can have a default value of 0.1, and we'll go ahead and change that if we need to, but we're going to stick that right here in the constructor and give it a default value of 0.1f. Now once the slide timer is finished, we're going to need a callback function. And we're also going to need a sort of Boolean that we can use to know whether or not we are changing the slide position. So let's add a Boolean called bMovingSlide. And let's make this a uProperty. And we'll make this visible anywhere, blueprint read only. And I'm going to give this category pistol with our meta specifier. And for the comment, true when moving the pistol slide. Now bMovingSlide will be false by default, so let's give that a default value. And now we need a callback function for our slide timer. So let's give this a protected function. It'll be called void finish moving slide. Now I'm going to give this a function definition. And one of the things I'm going to do in finish moving slide is set bMovingSlide to false. So I'll leave it at that for now and close weapon.cpp. Now we have our code set up to play a timer, and we have a curve, and we can use that curve to get an update value for our slide. And that curve goes from 0 to 1. So we're also going to need a scale value to scale that curve value. And that's going to be max slide displacement. So let's create a float called max slide displacement. And this is going to need to be something we'll experiment with to see what value works. Now I'm guessing it'll be 3 or 4 centimeters. So I'm going to give it a value of 4.f for a default. And since we're going to want to experiment with this, I'm going to make this an edit anywhere value. So let's make this uProperty. And if we make this edit anywhere, then we can experiment in blueprints. I'll make it blueprint read only category pistol, give it the meta specifier. And for the comment, we'll say max distance for the slide on the pistol. So that's 4 by default. Okay, so we've got this set up. We're ready to start our timer. So when do we actually want to start the timer? Well, we need to start this when we fire the weapon. And so we can actually create a public function that we can call from our shooter character class. Let's take a look at the shooter character class, shooterCharacter.cpp, and let's go to fire weapon. Now here in fire weapon, we're taking care of firing the gun, and we're starting the fire timer here. One of the things we can also do is check to see if our weapon needs to move its slide. Now, so far, the only type of weapon that has a moving slide is a pistol, so we can base this on the weapon type if we want to. But later on, you might have rifles that have moving slides or moving parts of some sort. So you may want to think about, if we use the weapon type, there may be some other sort of criteria in the future that you might want to change this to. But for now, since the pistol is the only weapon type that has a moving slide, we'll base this on the weapon type. So I'm going to say if equipped weapon, and from equipped weapon, we're going to get weapon type. If weapon type is equal to e weapon type pistol, then we can actually call a function here to start the moving slide timer. So we're going to say start moving slide timer. And for that, we need a function on the weapon we can call that will be public. So we're going to add a public function here, and we're going to say start slide timer. So we'll give this a function body, and we're going to call this from shooter character.cpp right here. So I'm going to say equipped weapon start slide timer, and we'll only call this if it's a pistol. Okay, so start slide timer can simply start the timer. So we can get the world timer manager, and we can call set timer, and we're going to go ahead and pass in the slide timer, which we called slide timer. Next will be this, and then our callback function, which will be a weapon finish moving slide. And then we need to use our float for the slide displacement time, which we called slide displacement time. There we go. And we're starting the slide timer, so we're going to be moving the slide. We're going to set B moving slide to true. Okay, so now when we fire the weapon, if it's a pistol, we call start slide timer, and then this starts the slide timer here on the weapon class and sets B moving slide to true, and then when we finish moving the slide, B moving slide gets set to false. So that's all that's happening. So next we need a function we can call in tick, where we can get the elapsed time and get our curve value and update the float. So we're going to do that in the next video, where we actually update slide displacement. So we'll see you in the next video.